Hello Barber and welcome to this gents scissor cutting tutorial. This is a complete walkthrough from start to finish covering a lot of different techniques. But don't worry, I've been barbering for 20 years and I'm here to guide you through this chop. So we're starting right here, right in the middle of the head. And a fundamental thing that you're going to need to do when you're scissor cutting is to wet the hair down. You should always wet the hair, it gives you great control of the hair. So what I'm going to do is just separate this hair here at the back above the occipital bone. Now if I separate that there, it lets me have access to all these sections that I want to cut further down. So with that out of the way, I'm going in with my scissor. My very first section is right on the occipital bone and I'm picking it up with the scissor and then placing the comb underneath it. I'm going to take many sections as I work my way down that area. And the reason is I want it to be as clean as possible. So lots of sections and little sections. Now as you get nearer the bottom, you can either lower the angle that you're lifting the comb up at or get slightly closer to the head, and this allows you to create a taper. Now just look how much hair is actually in the comb. It's not very much and it's easy for my scissors to cut through. I'm not going to be left with scissor marks because of that. Jumping over to the right hand side of that, we'll just do the same method, working our way straight down in its sections. So in we go. Not too much hair, now remember that. Just a small amount of hair, work your way down. This comb I'm using, by the way, is a YS Park barber's comb. Now that comb has wide teeth and narrow teeth, and for this technique, using the wide teeth is a lot better. Sometimes when you're scissor over combing, if you're using the narrow teeth can't get into the hair and sometimes they lift it up. So using the wide teeth is a lot easier. Okay, left and right done. Let's just go a little bit further over to the left. Just try and get closer to the ear. Now you'll notice that I keep my comb well in front of the ear, and that's a guard for the ear. Okay, so we're going in with the scissor and we don't want to go anywhere near the ear, so plastic in between the metal and the skin. Right down at the very bottom, take those little hairs off. Important here, make sure when you're going in here that you get the point of the scissor right in behind the hairline, and that way we're picking up all the hair. So you can see it there, that little point that I showed you, and we're just trying to, we'll get the point in and then lift up to the angle we want. Just a little bit of refinement here. Sometimes I just like to just have a quick double check and refine anything. Okay, let's pull down all that hair now that was getting in the way before. And if we lift that up, I'll be able to see the short hair just at the end of my fingertips. And if I hold my fingers out vertical, I can just cut straight up from there. That means that if I'm pulling my fingers out straight, the hair further up is getting further away from the head, and that's graduating into longer hair. So it's allowing me to build up. I'm working sort of short, working my way up into longer hair, and that can allow the hair to be longer on top. It gives it some support. So I'll work all the way towards the ear, and then on the other side I'm going to work all the way towards the ear as well. Once I've done that, I'm happy that I've almost covered the entire back section of this haircut, and I'm going to show you how we can join in towards the front. Since we've cut the whole back of the head, that'll be our guide, and we can use that to work out the length to be cutting at the sides. So if I put my scissor in here, there's the short hair from the back, and I just need to cut along the spine of my comb, and that'll ensure that I'm cutting to the same length that I had the hair on the back. Now this technique, this scissor over comb, I've said it before in previous videos, it really is an essential barber technique. It takes a little bit of practice. It's the flipping of the comb. You flip it over and under, if you know what I mean. So under, flip it over and then comb the hair down, and then flip it under again. There we go. Now you'll notice on the ear there again, just keeping the comb on top of the ear when I'm cutting, because let's not have any accidents. Keep your cutting safe. A bit of refinement here. And just down to the very bottom, comb in front of the ear again. Okay, now let's move over to the very front of the side and lift it up. There's the short hair that I'm always looking for, and cut to that. Now you'll notice what I'm going to do in a second here is I'm just going to change my angle. There's a reason for that. I'll cut down towards the ear first, and make sure once again, okay, when you get down there, keep that comb on top of the ear. So here's me changing my angle. Look, I'm going in this direction now because that's kind of the way that the hair is going. So I like to go with the flow, don't we all? That's it. So remember, we're getting near the perimeter, so very small sections around the perimeter. Look how much hair is in there. There's like hardly any hair in the front there. Around the ear, okay. Back of the scissor blade against the ear and just cut in. So I'm holding the ear out of the way, back of the scissor blade. Oh, don't forget the H2O, a little bit more water in there. You can never have enough. That just gives me control. And if I comb that hair down and it's wet, it's more likely to stay there for me to cut with my scissor. I'll just match up the other side very, very quickly. On the top, more water. Let's make sure that the hair is very wet and easy to control. I need to establish a guideline so that I know when I'm working across the head that I'm not losing my way and I'm not cutting shorter or longer than I should be. If I have a guideline from the start, I can follow that right through. Let me show you. I have talked about the guideline in other videos, but if I separate the hair from the crown all the way to the fringe, then I can create a guideline. At the fringe, I've got this major cowlick. So what I'm gonna do is tip my fingers back on my guideline and keep that much longer because I want to deal with that separately. It's quite a difficult thing to cut. So we'll keep that towards the end of this haircut. Right, so my guideline's in, and now every time I take a section, I can see where the short hair would be. So if I pick this up here, there you go. There's the little short hair, and I'll just cut to that. So work my way forward, and I'm keeping my section small so that it's manageable and my scissors can get through it. Step forward again. There we go. Just working at that guideline. It's so simple when you put the guideline in because you can't go wrong. You know that every time you pick the hair up, you're picking up and cutting at the right length. But as long as you keep your section small and manageable, it's going to look neat and tidy. Now, something I'll say to you if you're enjoying this and you want to learn more from me is that I do teach barbering on Udemy. I have a scissor cutting course and an introduction to barbering course on there. So if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in and you want to learn more in a more structured manner, there is a link down below for that in the description. I'm getting near the front here and I have been over directing it right back, so I'm lifting it right up. That's all because of that cowlick on the front, and I know that's a massive problem when you're cutting hair. Once I've cut the middle, I can move over to the side, and where that little circle is, that's where there should be some short hair, which will let me know what length to cut these side kind of sections at. So I'm gonna pick that up. Yeah, over at the fingertips, there's short hair. So I'll use that as my guide as I work my way forward on this side part here. I'm just going to show you this particular side. The other side section, I'll let you do that yourself because it's kind of the same method. Okay, so short there at the fingertips and working my way forward. At the fringe, I'm starting to over direct back again. An over direction is when you don't lift up straight, you kind of pull it back a little bit, and that makes it longer. Yeah, so because I've over directed, there's hardly anything to come off at the very front, although we're dealing with that separately, remember. And this is me very quickly kind of joining in the top and the sides together. I'm looking for like any little corner. It's probably better that I actually show you this on the other side because I kind of cut that so fast there. So on the other side, let's wet it down and just move all that hair that I've cut out of the way already and comb down the side here. Okay, this is going to be a slightly better demonstration. I was cutting like a madman on that last side there. So pick that up. Okay, now what we're doing is just looking for long hair. Okay, so there's some long hair there. It's like a little corner, and this is connecting the scissor over comb work that we did on the sides to the cut that we've done on the top. So keep pulling that out, work your way all the way towards the front, and that'll get you nice and joined in. Now the crown, I'm just going to wet that down again, okay, and pull it back and lift up. Now what I really want to look for is just long hair. You see the short hair there and the short hair there? Let's connect those two together, and that means that we don't have anything wildly long between the top and the back sticking out on the crown. Yeah, there's quite a fair chunk there in the middle to come off. Now the fringe, remember we're dealing with this separately. I'm going to cut sections in a fan kind of shape. So from the middle point on the top of the head to the fringe, I'm picking up these sections and I'm going to cut some hair. And what that's going to do is it's going to take weight out of the fringe, but not quite length at this point. I'm trying to avoid cutting length. I want to take the bulk from behind the fringe. So I'll lift these up, okay, take some weight away from the fringe. And I'll tell you the reason. The reason is that because when you have a cowlick, okay, the hair will go in all sorts of directions, and it's not best to cut that with tension to pull it down. It's best to kind of just leave it resting on your scissor, which is a straight line. So the curve of the cowlick can form round and rest in a straight line. Just let it take its shape, let it take its form and cut across a straight line. So I know that the curvature or the springiness or whatever you want to call it of the cowlick is just resting straight on the comb. Whereas if I was to pull that straight and grip it in my fingers and cut it, once I release it, it could go anywhere. So way better to cut it in a relaxed position. See, there's even a little curve here, a little curl, but I think that's just a natural curl, it's not from the cowlick. So before we get some real refinement on it, let's get this dried off with a vent brush. The vent brush is great because it allows air to flow through it. So on this area here, let's try and get a nice straight, very straight line down from the ear down to the nape of the neck. So I'll take away any just little hairs that are sticking out, and then I'm going to pull it out with my comb and let's get this dead straight line in here. This is a Stylecraft trimmer I'm using, by the way. This is a new addition. The blade's white because it's a ceramic blade, so they're apparently very sharp. I do quite like it. It's very, very fine tuned and quite fast, so you can't hear it in this video because I've muted the sound, but it sounds like a bee. It's a very kind of high pitched, not high pitched, but it's like zzz, that kind of noise. But it's a good trimmer, it's good for fine tuning. So I made my straight line, and look, all we've actually got here is fluff. It's hard to see, but because I was so clean with my scissor work and my tapering, there's not a lot of work to do there. But let's just get all the fluff off. With young men of this age, you do find that there's like a lot of kind of like just soft hair on their neck. So I'm getting rid of that. The other side, I'm lifting this out with a comb first, just to make sure there's no excess weight hanging over the side, and then I am going to trim it down. So in for the straight line. There we go. Happy with that. So brush all the debris away and make sure you don't miss anything. Now we're on to trimming round the front of the ear and the temple. So you can see what I've done here, just a light trim. All I'm looking for is the hair that is sticking out around the edge. Remove that soft hair from his face. I can tell he's gonna have a big beard one day because there's a lot of fluff there, but he's not quite there yet, but I'm sure that it will be. Clear that area, get all the debris away. Around this side, just trim around the ear, take all those little hairs away, any excess weight. It's good, these T-shaped blades. These T-shaped blades are quite good for getting in around the ear. Now, one thing I'm not happy about here is this. Look, it's too heavy. So I'm gonna put my comb in and tease it out a little bit and just take a little bit of hair off. That's gonna soften that line. I didn't want like a solid line there. On the front as well, like, it was a little bit dense at this side, so I'm just gonna slice it a little bit. When you're slicing, don't close the scissor blade. You know, what you're doing is you move the scissor through the hair and just flutter it with your thumb, but don't close it. So, and that's just gonna slice off some excess. Here's my final cut. What do you think? Oh, that is so clean. I know it's my own work, but that is so clean. I'm really happy with that. And the fringe is sitting really just, it's got its own curve, but it's sitting in a straight line. And that's what I want. I want it to sit naturally. What do you think of the haircut? Do you like it? I hope you like it. I'll see you again soon in my next video.